just a tiny bit. Something like that. It still doesn't look like it's straight. Perfect. Okay. Now it's a matter of just tightening these bolts up. This one over here on this side is a 13 millimeter or ½ inch. Now, bolts on this side are 14 millimeter, 9/16. 14, 9/16. Wrench on the side of the bolt. Okay, we've got one more bolt to tighten that's back here, but before we do that, let's just make sure that I didn't accidentally move the thing and it's misaligned. And we are still lined up. So let's finish tightening it down. These are self-locking nuts. All right. Now, to get rid of the slack, we're going to put the tensioner on. That's why we took this bolt out. So we're going to grab the tensioner, and a little thing that I want to point out, a good time to point out, is during the install on this, sometimes Ford, when they cast the engine, there's a little glob of metal. It's not on all of them. This one fits perfect. If there's a little glob of metal on the cylinder head where this thing won't fit in there right, just grind down some of the bracket. Don't try to grind anything on the actual engine itself. It's better just to grind a little bit off the bracket if you happen to be one of those lucky people that have like a little extra metal that dripped down when they casted it. I need to talk about what we're doing here. We're installing this tensioner so we can tighten up the belt. We have 3 bolts. These just go in to the York. These are 14 millimeter or 9/16. The actual thread is 3/8 coarse. If you're interested. We just get those started and we leave them kind of loose. Now I got to talk about the actual tensioner, because what we're going to do is just slip this thing over here like this, and this is used to tighten the belt. This tensioner actually has some adjustments in it itself in the event that you either need to move the wheel closer or further out. When we send you the tensioner, there's a bunch of extra washers. That's not a mistake or something. These are for adjustments. So you can undo this bolt here, and I'll just demonstrate with this one. If you take some of them out from the inside here, you need to have at least 2 in there. And that puts the pulley wheel further this way for a, let's call it a fine-tune adjustment, so that this pulley will line up perfectly with the alternator pulley and your York. You can also, if in some cases, it's very rare that I've run into this. It's only happened a couple of times. I've had to move this wheel out further. So that when it's on the vehicle, and this bolt here is tightened down, the pulley wheel here is further out. But this one is kind of pre-adjusted for you when we send it to you. You just, that's why we ask you how many grooves are on your alternator pulley and that kind of thing. So we send you the right kit and everything. So what we're going to do is tighten up this bolt first. This one here has to be tightened up first, and these you just kind of like leave snug, not even snug, you kind of leave them loose. You just get them started with your fingers so you can kind of move the thing around. That's going to take either an 18 or a 16. Find the right wrench here. Here it is. Takes a 18 and just don't let this putting this bolt in fool you. Sometimes you may think you have it tight, but you actually have to look at whether or not the bracket is flush against the head. If there's any daylight or a gap or something in there, or if you happen to be one of those that has like a little glob of metal in the casting or something back there, it kind of pushes this out a little further. But that's why you have all these different adjustments that you can do, so for your unique vehicle you can get the thing to line up. So that's tight. What I normally do is slide this thing over, and I just feel with my finger until it looks like they're lined up right there. And then I take a 14 millimeter wrench or 9/16, tighten one of these, and then look at it and see if it looks like it's like everything is lined up. Yeah, once the tensioner's tightened down and everything, it looks maybe a little crooked, but the nice thing about V-belts is perfect alignment isn't absolutely necessary. But once this is tightened down and I'm looking at this, that's going to line up just right. So why don't we go ahead and tighten these. Okay. Now, these bolts here, if you'll notice, this one has a washer and this one doesn't. Don't accidentally put a washer on this bolt because you think that it's supposed to have one. If you put a washer on it, your belt's probably going to rub against it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can do this without needing 3 hands. We still have our cruise control cable disconnected. That's for a reason. Take a 3/8 breaker bar. This little square that's right here, that's what that is. That is for a 3/8. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do this with 2 hands instead of having to have 3. Take the right wrench that goes on the head and just set that thing there like that. You take the other wrench, it's going to be 16 millimeter or 5/8. This one's a bendable one. Use the regular. Okay, and usually now stick your open end wrench down in there. We're going to do the same type of thing. Usually if you tighten this one first, it'll hold this up here so you can tighten this other one. without it slipping. Because it's open end, you can take it out. That's enough tension. We're good. Let's do a final check, make sure everything's, looks like it's lined up. Looks like it's lined up. Actually, we got to move the whole tensioner part in a little bit. Check it. Looks good to me. Okay, now let's not forget about our cruise control cable. Takes this 10 millimeter nut here, 10 millimeter screw. Okay, let's get almost there. All right. Gonna get this screw in the hole there. Okay. And this thing just pops on there like that. Okay, now, radiator hose. Go ahead and put that on there. And what I'm going to do is put some zip ties on this little collar from that piece we had left over from cutting the fill hose for the oil thing. Okay, time diary. Find my 8mm here. It's a matter of just connecting up your air hose that runs down to your tanks. Hooking up the power to the clutch now that goes through the pressure shutoff switch. And what I did on this one is you put this long 3/8 bolt in here. It makes kind of a nice little hanger, and you just pull your oil fill hose up where we tucked it down, and then you just kind of zip tie it up to this bolt up here. Figure get the kinks out. Just zip tie it up there, and you can fill your oil for right there. So let's grab a zip tie here. Just like that. Cut this thing off. Starting the truck up, this is the beauty in the Fords, is this is a remote starter switch. This starter relay here, we called them solenoids back in the 70s and 80s. Okay, we got to put oil in this thing. We're not going to start the engine. We're just going to fill this thing with oil. Now, the way you do this, because you got to mark your dipstick, and if for some reason you overfill it, don't be too concerned. We've had people say that they put too much oil in it, and some oil was coming up through the dipstick. What you can do is just you can either drain the oil out, or you can just leave it in there and just put a cap on here, and it'll find its way out. So did that cap, but you just screw a cap on there. The way you do this is you take a measuring cup. You able to pause it again? What you're going to want to do is use a measuring cup, and you're going to fill the measuring cup up with 6 ounces of oil, and use a funnel, or if you got a real steady hand, just pour it in through here, and then take your dipstick and see where you're at on the dipstick. And the dipstick is kind of hard to read. I use a napkin. Use a piece of cardboard. That didn't work. You'll be able to, you can probably see that on the camera. This already has oil in it, but you pour 6 ounces in it, see where you're at on the stick. That's your minimum mark. Then take another like 3 ounces or 4 ounces and put that in there, and then pull your stick out and mark that. Let's say that's going to be 10 ounces, total of 10 ounces. The most you want to have in there is maybe 14 ounces of oil. If you pour an entire quart in there, you're going to have oil coming up through your dipstick too. So you want to keep like 10 to 12 ounces of oil, somewhere around there. And then once you do that, you just close this up. And stick your dipstick back in there. Your pressure shutoff switch that hooks up to your clutch here, that engages the compressor. I have that working off of a toggle switch. What you're basically doing is you're taking a toggle switch and putting that in your truck somewhere. You have power going to one post that is only has power to it when you have your key turned on. That way there's no way this thing can be accidentally left on after you turn your truck off. Then the other post you run up here to your relay. Now this relay is kind of hard to see on the actual video, so I kind of made a prop here so it's easy enough to see. This is your relay. And the incoming power from your switch, that's going to go to this post. This one goes to the positive on your battery. This one is a ground. And on Fords, there's plenty of convenient grounds that you can use. This is your outgoing power that's going to go to your pressure shutoff switch, and then on the other side of your pressure shutoff switch, and it doesn't matter how you hook this up, it's like a breaker switch when it reaches the proper pressure. So you have your outgoing power going to a post on your pressure switch, and then this connects up to the wire coming out of your clutch. So we got oil in it, battery's hooked up. Instead of starting the actual engine, we're gonna hook up a remote starter switch. You can also just send power to this little post right here from the battery or something. I'm just used to using a remote starter switch. It's not going to start because the key's off, but you can crank the engine, and that way you can make sure that your belts, your original belt, the original drive belt, is tracking correctly, and